Ooh, Argosy is full. What do you got for me? Good shit? Bad shit? Stinky shit?
The way I wanted my.
Oh my god!
I like the Citadel. I wonder if they're gonna explain why it seems to have different biomes. It has like a marsh. It has like a frozen area.
Yeah, it certainly has a lot. The only thing it doesn't is a magma. Unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have an idea why.
All right, one more M3, and I'll be doing the urgent for M4.
I can't wait to go back to high rank and use these weapons.
Yes, the curb stomp victory lap.
Basically, he was like, "Bitch, you remember me?"
Yeah.
Huh. Dongo Fortune.
Stop hurting my body.
I still haven't fought Magma Omicron yet. Actually, there's a couple that I have to say,
Sure to catch that trip to Boston.
mine's to New Haven. What was I going to say? Totally forgot what I was saying because that guy was yelling.
You said
Bro, if I don't, after being here in New York for an extended period of time, if I don't have COVID or some sort of sickness, it'd be a holiday miracle.
A Christmas miracle.
There's so many people with no mask. Like, just this place is disgusting, bro. I'm just gonna, it's just disgusting. I don't know what other way to put it. There's like fucking military people all over with giant fucking AR-15s.
Really?
Hell yeah. And police officers. When I first got here, there was like 10 police officers that came to check our bus. I thought they were here to arrest somebody, but apparently...
Maybe for the 4th of July festivities.
Freddie was saying that after 9/11 that they're like super cautious about stuff like that, so...
Yeah. Especially with like celebrations and everything. That's unfortunate.
Isn't there just like a subway shooting or something?
Yeah, it was like a few weeks ago. Some guy killed 16 people.
Damn, what the fuck? I didn't hear about this.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing. That bitch was like, oh, go to the subway. Go to some random seedy subway you've never been to catch a train to somewhere you've never been. Bitch, you're out of your mind. I'd rather sit here until midnight. No, thank you. I really want to pull out my game and play, but like, I don't trust people.
Probably safe bet.
Well, like I dressed in a particular way that was like, so I didn't expect to be in New York for that long, but I dressed in a particular way that was not only comfortable but kind of like, I look kind of rough, and I dressed like that on purpose because I didn't want to stand out.
You bet.
So like I didn't wear any bright clothing. I'm wearing all black and grays, and I wore like my gym shoes. I wore like these black socks with like a black tank top, like just real simple. Which I'm glad I did because I definitely blend. Even though I'm like clearly I've never been here before, like I blend in with everybody else. So like, because everybody else is dirty, so it helps. But now I feel gross, and now I feel like I need a shower. Some of these bitches in here look like they've never seen a shower before.
So fucking.
Which is like just embarrassing. Bitches live a fucking lake. If you don't go do something about that, throw your ass in the lake.
Meanwhile, me fighting an Almadron.
You know, it's kind of funny when we went under the tunnel. So you can either get to New York through like giant bridges or like tunnels, and like I remember going through the tunnel as a child, and I thought it was like my dad scared me because he was like, above us there's like thousands of pounds of water. If it was to break through, we'd all die. And so like I remember being paralyzed with fear like the whole time we were down there, and like I felt like we were down there for hours. But then, like, going through it as an adult on this bus, it was over in, like, a minute. Maybe less. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. Hi, Mr. Pigeon. While I do love birds, you probably have rabies, so please stay away from me.
Like pigeons? Really, maybe?
There are pigeons in the bus station. Yes.
Have you run into the good feathers yet?
What'd you say?
Have you run into the good feathers yet?
The good feathers?
You not know the good feathers from Animaniacs?
No. Oh, those damn pigeons. I did have a pretty amazing experience before getting here. I helped this migrant family get home. The parents could not read English or Spanish, and they could only speak Spanish. And then the son, their son, who was like probably like 10 years old, he could read Spanish and speak it, but he couldn't read English, and he couldn't speak English. And they didn't know where they were going, and so I sort of acted as like their translator or direction person. Luckily for them, they were on the same bus as me, majority of the stops, except for their last one. And they were from South America, so they didn't even understand my Spanish or like the Spanish I was trying to speak. So I ended up having to call Freddie so Freddie could sort of like translate for me. But at one point, their son, he was watching her on the bus, totally enamored. Like, he was so like into it.
Craft that young mind.
He was definitely really into it, and like he was so into it that I paused it because I was getting tired and my neck was hurting. And like I looked around for a minute, and he reached over and tried to find the unpause button while the controller was in my hand. He tried to unpause it. Yes, he reached for my hand. He fucking grabbed the controller in my hand and tried to fucking unpause it. I was like, bitch, you're gonna get me killed. I was fighting my gun. I was like, can you not?
Oh, Malzeno of all things, too. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, be patient, Padawan. I was like, you're gonna get me killed, bro. But he enjoyed it, and then I shared some of my hot Cheetos. He had like 2, and then he said they were too hot in Spanish.
Ooh, too hot.
Hell yeah.
He had 2. He was like, mucho picante. I was like, yeah. I was like, they're pretty fucking hot, yeah. And he like had 2 of them, and he was done. And meanwhile, I'm like shoveling the whole bag into my mouth. He was watching me, like I don't know what this kid. He's like one of those kids where it's like, if you're doing something that he thinks to be fascinating, he will stare dead at you. Like there are no social cues of like, I probably shouldn't be staring. That's impolite. Like nah. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I want to see you. He was very adorable. At their very last stop, where we split off, they asked me some questions. I went to go ask the bus driver. He gave me the wrong instructions that I gave to them, and then I sent them all the way across the building to go sit at the wrong bus stop, unknowingly. And then I stood in line, and then I ended up standing in the wrong fucking line, not knowing that. And the guy comes over and he's like, this is the line for 6469, what the number was. And like, I was like, that number sounds familiar. I was like, I think that's the number on their fucking ticket. And then I sat and I listened for a little bit longer, and sure enough, the line I was in, and accidentally was the line they were supposed to be in, and they were boarding. So I had to run all the way to the other side of the building, and then quickly call Freddy and tell them that in Spanish that they're in the wrong place. They need to get up, get to moving quickly, come back over to the other side of the building, and like, I saved them. We saved them. Saved the day. Got them home. It was great.
Proud of you, bud.
Yeah.
I gave them all high five, and they thanked me.
Good job, Javi.
Imagine if you hadn't like caught them, how bad you'd feel. Like, oh fuck.
Dude, oh my god, I would have cried. I would have cried because like there was like a point where they might have been undocumented, and because there was a point where we were driving past this like detention center. It looked like a detention center or maybe a jail or something, I don't know. But like, it looked like the bus was going to that building because it was like doing some weird turns, but it wasn't. But like, I could hear them in Spanish, they were getting really nervous and scared because they thought we were headed to that building. And like, they thought maybe they had to go through some like checks or something like that, but that's obviously not what was happening. We were just driving. You know, that was when I kind of realized like, oh, you guys were undocumented, I see. Well, let me help you get home. That would have been so terrible. I could have potentially put them in so much danger if I sent them somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Because they certainly couldn't speak English.
Were you like really bonded with the kid and everything? Yeah, that's
I did.
happy ending to the
I told
story.
him that I was right. I told him that I was Puerto Rican, but that like my Spanish wasn't that good because my mom didn't teach me. And he was like, oh, okay. He could say okay. He was like, okay. And, but he totally became my buddy.
It's really cute.
He totally fell in love. I tried to give him the controller for the demo to see if he wanted to play, and he was like, no.
He's like, I don't want to get addicted.
Yeah, he's like, no.
What will happen?
And then he was pointing, like he pointed at me, and then at the game, he was like, you keep pointing. I was like, okay.
Sometimes the kids just like to watch you play.
Yep.
He definitely did.
Like to see
That's
the
so
map.
adorable. You may have just gotten a young mind influence into the world of Monster Hunter.
Right.
No better
Although I don't think he
feeling.
knew what it was, but he was definitely enamored by it.
Well, once he learns more and saves up enough money for his Switch, I'm sure he'll track that game down.
Like,
He'll be like a huge influencer later on.
yeah.
He'll be like, I actually, my first foray into Monster Hunter was this guy that I just met.
It was kind of interesting because like my Spanish is not the best, right? And like my family's a migrant family, so like when my family first moved here from Puerto Rico, my mom and her sisters had to do that for their mom. My grandmother couldn't speak English, and like she certainly couldn't read it, and my mom and her sisters were like, you know, the translators, the go-betweens, as her kids, and so like it's just funny that like I'm my mom's kid and like I can't speak Spanish at all really, but then I like helped a family who was in a similar situation as my family not that long ago. But that was kind of interesting.
Yep, full circle.
I
Like,
fucking hate this movie so
really
much.
awkward coincidences.
It is weird, yeah. It is really weird.
It's
And then like, you know, we drove through. My mom was born in Newark, New Jersey. So like, my grandmother was pregnant, and then she came here to visit family that had just recently moved here, and then she went into labor while she was here. Had my mom, moved back to Puerto Rico. My mom grew up there for several years, and then they moved back, and then they moved to New Jersey first. And then my tios caught wind of some jobs in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, industrial jobs. They came over here for them, or they came over there for them, and then the job shut down, and then my family just kind of got stranded, and that's how we ended up in Milwaukee. Of course, some of our family members absolutely hated it, and they moved back to Puerto Rico. Like my great grandmother couldn't fucking stand it here. She moved back to some of my other fields and stuff. One of my plans when I first go back to Puerto Rico, one of my plans is to visit my grandmother's grave and just talk to her for a bit. If I ever go back, that is.
I should visit my grandparents' grave. It's been a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely need to visit mine too. You know, I really like Taino spirituality. Like, it's like our spiritual beliefs are based on the idea that everything is sacred, and all life is sacred, including like stones and things like that. We believe that stones themselves are sacred because they house the spirits of your ancestors. So like, we believe that oh, wait, what? Hold on. We believe every person has two spirits. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we believe everybody has two spirits. You have an ethereal spirit, and then you have a physical spirit, which is your body. When you die, the two spirits split, and the ephemeral goes off wherever, and then the physical spirit stays behind and rejoins with the earth. And so, because we believe that all stones house our ancestors. Therefore, stones are all sacred as well, because they're made up of your ancestors, which is true. That's actually true. Actually true. I really like that. I've always believed that like Western like funeral practices of like burying someone in like a metal casket with fucking stone over it, like just I feel like it's a disservice because you're essentially cutting off your loved one from the cycle of life, of like rejoining back with the cycle, that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. It's not a good thing.
Oddly enough, you just reminded me to pay respect to the monsters again.
Oh yeah, I forgot you used to do that, you fucking weirdo.
Shut the fuck up. You're just talking about returning to the earth and everything. Bitch!
I forgot you used to do that, that's right.
What do you mean?
Fucking crazy. You fucking crazy person.
Just call me out all of a sudden, what the fuck? I felt like when you were talking about all this stuff, I'm like, here I am beating on this old man, and I'm like, I feel extremely bad.
It's funny. What that reminded me of was Final Fantasy VII, like returning to the life
stream. Yeah, I have a saying that says, "Rest now, return to the ever stream."
I mean, you know,
I got that from Iceborne.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's an actual fucking stream, but like that's a real. When you die, you return. Your physical self returns back to the cycle, which, you know, it's kind of interesting because I was watching this thing where this I forget the guy's name. Was it Roger Penrose? I don't remember his name, but he was talking about how there's current theory that consciousness may not be a function of your brain, of like how your brain processes, how your neural, like there are some people that believe that consciousness is an illusion derived from the complexity of your brain, right? How it processes information, XYZ. He's like, there is current theory to merit the idea that consciousness may actually be a quantum process and may derive from the quantum level, which, if that's true, it's like, it's basically saying that your consciousness derives from like the very fundamental ones and zeros that make up the universe, which is pretty fucking cool. That's pretty cyber. That means when you die, Your conscious would return back to those ones and zeros, which is pretty fucking metal.
Or consciousness, or all our consciousnesses are manifesting what the world is around us, sort of a thing. So I don't know. It's like maybe.
See, no, wait. Hear me out. Hear me out. It's funny. It's interesting that you say that because if this is true, if that were a true thing, so I'm a firm believer that there are probably a lot of quantum processes that go on around us that we don't know because we can only know as much as far as our senses can take us, right? So like, even scientific equipment is equipment that augments our senses.
I see.
That's literally what it is. Like a magnifying glass or a microscope magnifies your vision. It helps augment your vision so you can see further than it normally can. So like, that's all that equipment does. And so like, we can only go as far as our senses can like be augmented or take us. And so like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are quantum process. There are, I mean, look at dark energy and dark matter. We have absolutely no idea what the fuck it is. And it's likely a quantum process as well. Like, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were, you know, if consciousness was a quantum process, it would mean that there could be quantum like interactions that are taking place around us on the daily that we just have no knowledge or understanding of, you know. And it takes me back to the whole idea of like the whole double slit experiment where it's like, it seems like, we don't know, but it seems like observation of matter collapses the wave function and makes particles go from a wave to acting like physical matter, which is like pretty wild.
Yeah.
Javi, okay.
That's pretty fucking wild.
You know, we can pick the brain all day with this
My
conversation.
brain.
You know what I was just about to remark on is that why the fuck does this sound like Final Fantasy X with all the sleepers and everything dreaming the world?
I mean, that may be the case. You know, it one of the Schrodinger experiment with the cat in the box thing, that experiment has always bothered me because, so the experiment is based on the idea of like, oh, if the cat's in the box, then, and the cat exists, you know, in a wave function, that means it like come out as dead sometimes. But like, the problem with that theory to me is that like, it labors under the assumption that the human being or the observer that's observing is the only observer within the experiment, but the cat itself would also be an observer. Like, observation is just the processing of data. So it's like, it's hearing, it's touch, it's heat, cold, it's like all of the senses that you have or that a being has. And so it's like, anything that's alive technically is an observer, regardless of if it's conscious or not of it. And so it's like, everything is collectively working together to solidify our reality. So even though you can't see the cat's still solidifying its own existence in the box by just simply existing. Something like that.
Gotta say something.
Going back. Yeah, go ahead.
Avi, have you heard of delayed choice quantum eraser experiment?
Yes.
I literally just heard about that last night, so it's super funny that you're talking about this.
Mind.
Some people.
When I first learned about that, bro, it blew my fucking mind.
You could
like
theoretically change the past.
Yes. By observing the scrambled up particles in the present, it retroactively goes back into the past in the timeline and changes how the particle was behaving in the past so that the present that you're in at the moment of observation becomes a reality. You know how fucking insane that is?
Kind of dangerous ass.
But that's what happened. That's like so the funny thing about quantum mechanics is that like it sounds like it sounds ridiculous, but that's what we see.
Funny, it sounds dangerous as fuck.
I mean,
can we not pull off an Avengers Infinity War shit, please?
Ever since I was
I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, it sounds absurd, but that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. We don't know why we're seeing it, but that's what we're seeing. And like, how does that? What? You're literally, quite literally, changing the past by simply observing the present, which is insane.
Or was
it's like some Final Fantasy 13 shit.
Or was it predestined? Like it was already going to, like, I don't know. I just learned about it last night, so I'm not an expert or whatever, but just thought it was interesting with what we're talking about. But